Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video. And today's video, I imagine, is a welcome one to every single person who's got anything today with Rangers Football Club, barring possibly one person. Don't worry, we'll go ahead and speak about it later on in the video. But for the first time in the new season, under the new era, we are here for a delicious Rangers Rumour. Now a quick wee disclaimer in case it's your first time seeing this Nasher. This isn't a confirmation or a guarantee that Max Aaron will be wearing one of these this season. Nah, these things can fall away at the last hurdle. Wages can come in, agents usually do get involved, or even as we've seen over the last couple of weeks, if there's a change at the club, there's sometimes a new environment in there and there's new transfer targets, and what was previously 99.9% done can get ripped up if they move away from what was previously presented to them under the previous regime. You just never know with these things, but there is a reason why we are speaking about it, and we only ever speak about players right here on the channel that we believe that there is something credible behind it, and there is credible sources regarding this one. And I truly believe that the football club has went ahead and spoke to Max Aarons and wants a Max Aarons. That's the reason why we're here. That's the reason we're looking at the rumour. But again, instead of getting bogged down on whether or not we believe this rumour to be true, and if we think Max Aaron will definitely be a Rangers player, let's pull it back, have a look and see if he should be. And our journey begins, of course, at the player profile, as Max Aarons is a 25-year-old right back from England who is absolutely rapid. And I do apologise because over the next 12 to 14 minutes you're probably going to hear the word pacey, you're going to hear fast, rapid, you might even hear the occasional meep meep, because that's the level of speed that this laddie brings to his game, and that's his biggest attribute, that's his biggest strength, and that's the biggest place that he will directly improve this Rangers team. Because just like this, what has been our glaring weakness, especially over the last 18 months, is resolved if Max is up the road and he's starting. And you know, I'm actually going to avoid maybe the easiest slam dunk, the biggest open goal that I could possibly have here, by coming in here and burying the likes of James Henry and talking about this and talking about that and slamming him. But honestly, I didn't want to do that, ladies and gentlemen, because I think most people that actually watch these videos know I love and appreciate what this lad has done for the near 10 years he's been at this club. And a prime Tav has gave us so many good memories and some big moments over his time, the likes of European Golden Boot, etc. He's done some things right, so I'm not here to pick on the carcass of a James Henry and dissect his entire Rangers career. But if you take your heart away and you look at our Rangers team, you know for a fact our team defensively, especially doing the right, is vulnerable to near every single winger domestically. And it's even got to the stage where he's not just getting in physical battles and getting outpaced by the likes of Maeda and losing that one. I'm seeing the likes of Matty Kennedy, I'm seeing the likes of Cadden, I'm seeing the likes of Greg Kilty lick their lips when they come up against James Henry Tavernier, and that shouldn't be happening. In big 2025, I'm having to watch Declan John bomb by him and put crosses in. It's a clear glaring weakness, and our Rangers team has been bleeding down that side, and it's been one of our biggest vulnerabilities. But again, Max Aaron's got the type of pace that isn't just fast, it's almost intimidating, and something that actually goes to his strength is he's almost got the Kyle Walker level of intimidation. Now I'm being very careful here because I'm not wanting to get my words twisted. I'm not saying he's as good as Kyle Walker or even be Kyle Walker or touch the career that Kyle Walker went ahead to go ahead and have, I should say. But you know what I'm talking about when I say Kyle Walker level intimidation with his pace. You've all seen it, you've all seen the games. The winger gets there, a 1v1, do they go for it? Nah, they turn around and pass it inside because they know they can't beat him 1v1. And again, talking about pace and saying he's fast and making wee references to the likes of the Flash is all fun and daisies and everything like that, but at the same time is the best thing I can punch away right now, and the best thing you can take away is he's not just fast, ladies and gentlemen. One of his best attributes as well is his 1v1 defending, because those who do take him on, he usually beats. And I don't know about you, but the prospect of me watching a Rangers team, especially domestically, not just be tore to shreds down that side and be vulnerable to runners in behind and be vulnerable to crosses coming down that side as there's a quick step then a cross get in, that's quite exciting to me, because someone who watches each and every single one of these games sees where we're bleeding, and I think the likes of Max Aarons getting added is actually a big step in the right direction to stop one of the many areas, and it's not just fixed right back and it's all sorted, but many areas that we've got in our team that constantly leaks chances. Well, there's a big problem potentially solved, at least for the next 12 months, if it is a loan and we didn't keep him. That's somebody in there that can stop one of our glaring issues and fix a major problem in it. But again, we're talking a lot about defending, because guess what? He's a defender. Ladies and gentlemen, let's remember that. It is also worth noting that he is a modern day fullback, and you know what that means. Bombing up the park. Now, he's got the engine and the stamina to come back, and sometimes he needs it because sometimes his crossing is a bit wayward. He's no the likes of Barisic that it is absolutely perfect, but when it does go right, you can see why we're interested in him, and you can see why the likes of Russell Martin has identified him as a potential option bringing in to this football club, and maybe said, hey, do you fancy it? Come up here, lad, because you'll get high, you'll get wide, you're tidy on the ball, you've got that dribbling ability, you're basically a winger with a wee bit of defending in him, and that's what we need, is that fits Russell Martin's style of play down to a T. And when we talked about Russell Martin twice over the last couple of weeks, we talked about the right back position, as I feared that Tavernier doesn't fit the mould of what Martin wants. Well, every little thing you want to look at, Max Aarons like ding, 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 as he's a Russell Martin player. But where there is this excitement and where this is this joy, you've also got to try and look at it from the balance point of view. He is a 25-year-old with all this experience, over 90 games in the Premier League, 100 games in the Championship, and he is 25 years old. So how is he available on loan? Well, if you stick with me over the next wee while, we'll try to break down where he is in his career, and where exactly he is does bring up a very interesting question, because I imagine the easiest way you could look at this, if he does come up the road, well, he's not here to replace Tav. He's here to replace Dujon Sterling, because mind Sterling's out for like 6 months. But where he is in his career and what's holding him back is the lack of game time. And I think if you look at where Max Aarons is, I don't think at this point in his career, with the options he's got available, he's going to pick a place that he doesn't fancy himself as the starter week in and week out. And again, heart away for it, if we look at it as a player with his experience looking at that level, is there ever going to be a easier time to break in to a Rangers team and potentially kickstart or re-kickstart your career? I don't think so. And I know a lot of people won't like that motif or like that idea, especially if this does end up being a loan, which is rumoured to be, whether there's an option to buy it or no. If he comes here and plugs a gap and plugs that sinking hole in our Rangers team for 12 months, and it gives us an opportunity to strengthen other areas that we badly need to strengthen as well, we'll look back on this the same way we looked at Cherny and everything like that. You've seen how loans can impact Rangers, but also the appetite and why it's an attractive prospect to talented players that's maybe doing on their luck. We just mentioned Cherny. Where was Cherny's career before he came to Rangers? We talked about it. You know what I mean? Bright start in Dutch football. He's supposed to be this, couple injuries, and it was on the decline. Wolfsburg wasn't interested. Now look at the options he's got, the rumoured money he's meant to be getting or going for and everything like that. Right, look at the likes of Tillman's career. What can happen when you come up here and you perform and you show your levels, and that's why it's such an attractive prospect to come up here and play for the likes of Rangers. The only thing I'm hoping, ladies and gentlemen, is I think he would be a very tidy player for Rangers, and if we are bringing him in and loan, I would love Sutton in there to potentially keep him on, because again, he could come up here, stroll it, look absolutely brilliant, plug that gap, and then in 12 months time when it comes to next summer, he returns back to his parent club and we're like, oh, we're back to where we started. So it is a pretty interesting one, and I can imagine there will be people that's just fed up loans, but again, for me, I can see the benefit as long as there's a chance to keep him long term. That would be pretty damn good. But to finish off his old player profile, we move away from his strengths, we move away from his motifs. Something else we need to talk about is obviously his height, as well, as that's something that I've seen randomly talked a lot about. But again, he is a modern day fullback, so he does stand at 5'10", and that's about right these days. You know what I mean? He didn't really get towering right backs anywhere, and it's going to be fixing the aerial problems that our Rangers team or any team should have. Now, your centre back should be able to get up and header a football. Ladies and gentlemen, let your attack-minded fullbacks get forward and impact it that way. No, try and fix the problems that the two centre halves getting paid lots of money should be able to go ahead and do. So does stand at 5'10", but again, very strong in individual battles, very, very strong with his interceptions, and as fast as a player we've had donkeys. But that's enough for the basics, as I imagine a lot of people, or some people watching today's video, will be a little bit familiar with him, with that yo-yo nature of Norwich, winning the Championship, going to the Premier League, coming back, doing it and impressing. He was one of the names that was constantly impressing, and it was only a matter of when he would get a move and when someone would pull the trigger on, at that time, the very young, talented fullback. Well, he eventually did get his move, as Bournemouth, in my opinion, stole him for the rumoured amount, around about £7 million, which is nothing these days, especially down there. And it's easy to say, well, he's failed at Bournemouth because he's way out on loan, but I want to try and look at the story. Why is Mark Aarons available on loan? Why hasn't it worked at Bournemouth? Well, let's look at it. Aarons, after signing for Bournemouth, started off pretty damn well, it's got to be said, despite some of the stuff that's getting twisted and said about the guy. He started 13 of the opening 14 matches available for Bournemouth, and again, had some good performances, had some iffy performances, but he was a starter. That's what he was signed to be, and that's what he was. And then injury struck, and I know everyone's just clenched by the way. You've heard injury on you. Oh no, CJ, here we fricking go. But the best thing I will say to calm everyone's nerves is that was an injury hit season for him, but it's not really been something that's affected him year on year on. So we can release a wee bit of that tension. But injuries did affect him that season, because it took him out of 6 games, as he was away for about 6 weeks at that point. Now, he did come back ahead a schedule, and after 2 games on the return, he went ahead and broke down as he pulled his hammy again, ladies and gentlemen, and hurt the injury he came back quickly from, and from there he was missing for months, as he went on to miss the next 10 games in all competitions. And when you're talking about that length of time, you're talking about that time being away, by the time Max Aarons was actually fit enough to play again for Bournemouth in the Premier League, you hit April, and you know what that time is. That's the season sort of ending, that's the season sort of over. And again, he's missed so much of the season. The guy that's picked ahead of him now, or was picked because he was injured, was actually performing pretty well. And is it fair, after 3/4 of your season, to drop the guy that's been doing the job for someone that's just back for injury? Nah. So he never really got a sniff. So there's no massive controversies in any of that. He's not the first player to lose his place to injury and someone else playing and picking up the mantle. That's football. But the following season is when the door started to open to loans, and it almost finds him to where he is potentially coming up the road to Rangers. Because the following season, after an injury hit campaign, he remained on the sideline, and it wasn't just the person that had replaced him the previous years. Bournemouth, because of all our additions to the squad and honestly playing pretty well, ended up moving their captain Cook down to right back, who's a phenomenal crosser and a wee cheeky dark horse in the fantasy football, if anybody does. And he takes the corners, takes the set pieces, he almost does a Tav takes the goal kicks. He is heavily involved, and there he's sitting behind a skipper. Maybe there is a wee bit of irony in behind that, as he couldn't force his way into the starter because the skipper was then playing there. But again, he was limited, very limited in that season, and only played a total of 4 times for Bournemouth. The writing was on the wall. The skipper was playing ahead of him, and it's time for this young, up-and-coming, promising player to get out and plays for football. So January comes, and he has a pixie teams. He can go here, he can go here, he can go here. Where did he end up? Valencia. I know. Talk about falling upwards. What an incredible club that is to go ahead and join. The tradition, the history, etc, etc. That's the type of team that he was approached by to come in. But again, for Max, I think it was maybe the wrong move, as I think he went there knowing he wasn't going to be the nailed-on starter, and he never really had a shot to be the nailed-on starter, as he was sort of brought in as a cover and a backup, and that's pretty much what he was for Valencia, as he went to play just 5 games in the last 3 months during that period. And if I'm being honest with you, he was on the hand of some absolute spankings for Barcelona, as he got battered twice from Valencia to Barcelona. Now, he never started all the games, he didn't play all the minutes, but he was involved in 2 scalpings for Barca. But if you want a wee bit of balance in your life and you want a wee bit half full, he was directly involved in a phenomenal win over Real Madrid, which was not only his best game of the season or for Valencia, arguably his best game in years, as you got to see a wee bit of the Max as he got a start versus Real Madrid. He was 1v1 with Vinny Jr., who's a pretty good football player, but again, his raw pace just completely nullified what Vinny was able to do for the majority of the game, and it just worked out well, and it made Real Madrid rethink it, but again not think it enough as Valencia came away with the win. He got a lot of plaudits, but again then the starter was back in and then Max was on the sidelines. It's very, very weird, but that's the way his career sort of panned out, and that takes us to where we sit right frickin' now, as again he has options and chances to go to here, 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 here and here, but what's he going to prioritise this time? Is he going to go there? Is he going to go here? Or is he going to try and prioritise the minutes that could be potentially available in a Rangers team with some European football, and having a wee glance at the likes of Chern and the Tillman and seeing how their stock risen after a loan? I wouldn't blame him at all, not only with the culture and the history of Rangers and what it can mean if you're successful, but the loan and the success you can have as a loan player is there for these guys, and that's why it's such an attractive prospect in my personal opinion. Not only just playing for us and getting to play in front of 50,000 and playing in European football, it can reset you and properly get you back to your best. And again, that's what this kid needs. He just needs a restart. He needs to kick his career back into where it was supposed to be, and that was on the up, and maybe that comes from the playing under the pressure of Rangers and having that expectation, and again with a clear pathway to playing first team football. But I do realise this is supposed to be the numbers and stats section, but I've tried to take you on a wee bit of journey there, Alice, so let's follow me as we go to the last bit of this rabbit hole as we finish up with his entire footballing CV, taking a step back and looking at everything but barring reserve football and under 21s football. That doesn't interest me, ladies and gentlemen. Playing against boys that will never ever make it. I like looking at what they do when they actually play meaningful minutes and meaningful games and meaningful competition. So when you strip away the madness and you look at him as a 25-year-old, he has 245 games under his belt, with over 100 games in the Championship, where he absolutely strolled it in most seasons, especially for Norwich. He also has over 90 games in the Premier League, and when you mix in the FA Cup and all that stuff in there, you could argue he's got over 100 games in the top flight English football as well. And he's also got experience playing in the Spanish League. It's only 5 games, but it doesn't matter, right? Championship, Premier League, and obviously Spanish football at the age of 25, over 245 games played. He's well tested. But I know there'll be people out there thinking, okay, CJ, that's interesting. Yeah, talk about the stats. Hit me with the goals and the assists, because if he's here to replace Tavernier, I want to know how many goals he gets and how many assists he gets. I want to see some Tavernier numbers. I can't do that, ladies and gentlemen. But as I said earlier in the video, Tavernier's a unicorn, and we will never, ever see the likes of Tavernier. We just won't. Whether you love him or you hate him or you think he's done now or his knees went or whatever, or if you've never liked him, what we saw from Tav in terms of goals and assists will never be replicated at right back. I'm happy and I'm confident to say that, because I know when I say after 245 games Max Aarons has 6 goals and 15 assists, people are going to look at that and be like, that's garbage for an attacking full-back. But again, we've been spoiled by the likes of James Henry. I mean, James Henry's had that halfway through a season in some of the seasons he's played for Rangers, but again, we can't keep holding that against him. You look at the competitions, you look at the level he's played and the way he's went about his business, his strengths new. Ladies and gentlemen, Max Aarons has a career in front of him. For me, Tavernier's best days are behind him, and we as a football club need to move forward. But moving away from the goals and the assists malarkey and all that stuff, which I imagine will jump up if he gets to play a year in Scottish football, especially where you can dribble and get forward and draw fouls, it could be a good asset. If you want to look at his defensive side of the game, because he is a defender, he's actually never been sent off in his career, which is nice. Obviously the guys and the whistles up here, part-time idiots, will probably soon resolve that, especially the way he can occasionally fly. See, because he's so fast, some of his challenges I've seen, but then you see it back, oh right, he actually Got the boy. Likes again the wee bit of shoulder to shoulder. If someone gets in, he almost takes it personally. Someone's tried to take in it. Again, he can be full-blooded on occasion. He can get stuck in. But 0 red cards. He does, however, have 43 yellow cards, showing he likes to get a wee bit. But I didn't mind that. You've got to have a bit of bite. You've got to have a bit of steel if you're ever going to make it up here. And again, there's no guarantees that Max will make up here. But again, I like his chances. I think there will be some very awkward moments and uncomfortable conversation that would be had if Max Aarons does come up the road. But see, at the same time, what a statement that would be from these new owners, the new people in the building, even new manager. He was getting so much flack for no ripping the armband off Tav, but if you rip the armband off Tav, the new, where he is, he's devaluing him in case somebody is interested in bringing him in. You never ever know. Just say we done it last week, right? Say we ripped the armband off Tav with Martin's first day and we gave it to Raskin. What do we do if next week Aston Villa comes in with a £25 million bid or whatever's Twitter and all that? It's Tommy. What happens if a bid comes in and then we go ahead and sell our captain a week after giving him the armband? Who then gets it? Someone who was overlooked at that. It would look a wee bit daft, and I think it would make us look pretty amateurish. So I don't think we can give the armband yet to Raskin unless he signs that thing and commits to the following season, in my personal opinion. I think if you've got Max Aaron in the books, and I think if you've got James Henry in the books, the longer the season goes on, the more Max will have more games than Tav, in my personal opinion. And hell, you never know, Tav could go ahead and play right centre back. But you know what, that's it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. The only thing left today is talk about the rumour of if I think Max Aarons will be a Rangers player. And for me, if you'd have said it to me a couple of days ago, would I have believed it? Probably no. But with the gears apparently changing and the views changing and what we need to bring in, and maybe we're not getting a Mulligan anymore, or we're not getting them or anything like that, it's changing to this now, and we're about to identify and attack this market. I wouldn't be surprised if he does come up here, especially just having a peek into his career where he is. But again, he's not going to be short of options, ladies and gentlemen, and his agent will tell him the best place to go to try and get as much money as possible and try and get there and try to be there. So it's going to be a very interesting one. In my opinion, does Rangers want Max Aarons? Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. Does Max Aarons want Rangers? We'll wait to see. All we can hope is that connection, and he's already got with a certain Russell Martin, is enough to really entice him to come up the road to old Scotland, wave goodbye to the sun of Valencia and come up the road to us. Then he talk to Cifuentes about the weather, of course. But see how the kid gets on. If he gets here, I'll be buzzing, because again, I think his pace will be directly impactful. But we'll wait to see if there is a confirmation on it. This one could easily fall away and he could be moving on, ladies and gentlemen. But there's enough smoke to the fire to talk about, and it's a genuine conversation with the ties to Tavernier. And the fact, in my opinion, we're so publicly talking to right back is a bit of a statement that there is a new direction coming. It's only day one of the transfer window. We just need to be a little bit patient, I think. And this is a step in that direction and bringing it, because you're not bringing Max to be a number 2 behind Tav in 2025, in my opinion. But what about you? Let me know your opinions down there in the comment section below. I know some of you will be mad, it's a loan and everything like that, but are you happy? Are you mad? Are you sad? Are you glad? Let me know. As always, I've been CJNovo992. Thank you so much for watching. All the best and bye-bye. Oh, before I go, by the way, I need to give a wee special mention to Jamie, who sent me this. I had absolutely no idea. Wait now, let me bring this down. See, look, the office is getting built back up, troops, you know what I mean? Look, there's Barry, look, even Barry's there. Sorry for saying you shouldn't get the joke, Barry, still love you, mate. But have a wee gander at this, look. Look at this, look what the guy sent me. It's me, ladies and gentlemen, and you're going to love to see it. But that is it for today's video. That is it for everything. And again, let's just turn the light on again. How nice is that? Thank you, Jamie. But aye, that's me, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. All the best again, and bye-bye.